Hi everyone and welcome to this quick preview of the pages inside the Nativity Christmas book. You'll see the way that the verses sort of integrate with one another. Here, John's Gospel provides like a narrative that runs alongside the actual sort of story element. So John's like nativity is just that very short, like, in the beginning there's a word and da da da. Here, for example, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Then, so that's from John, but then you go into Luke. It starts the little story about the Annunciation to Mary, and you see the angel come and prophesy to her. This is all straight from Luke without interruption. We go through, and she visits with Elizabeth, and we get John the Baptist here, born to Elizabeth and Zechariah, and and they saying, "What's his name?" And he says, "It's John." The lady says, "You can't call him John," and then Zechariah says, "His name is John." That's from Luke, and then again we get a little tiny bit of John pop in, and it says, you'll see how it sort of seamlessly works together. So it says there was a man sent from God whose name was John. So again, it's like referring to this. He came to witness and testify concerning the light, so that through him all might believe. He himself was not the light, he came only to witness to the light. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming to the world. But then we go into Matthew. So we've had the Annunciation to Mary. Now we're basically going to get the Annunciation to Joseph. Sorry, the top bit's cropped off, but it says, "This is how the birth of Jesus, the Messiah, came about. His mother Mary was pledged to marry Joseph." And again, it's kind of nicely, seamlessly bringing them together, because we've sort of seen Joseph briefly from Luke, and they were always kind of designed when I drew them to work together like this, but you'll see how they integrate. And so we're just going to get a whole little chapter now, a little section of Matthew as it talks about Joseph, and the angel comes to him and tells him about Jesus, and then he wakes up and they're married, and then we hear about the census and how they've got to move on. But this is from Luke, you see. So we've gone straight from here. This was Matthew. It talks about them getting married and how they do not consummate the marriage until after Jesus is born. And then we go into, it says, above the thing, it says, "In these days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree. A census should be taken of the entire Roman world." So we've gone back now into into Luke, and we're going to see the birth of Jesus from the Luke bit. And then after the baby's born, we're going to see the shepherds, and then after the shepherds, it's going to go back into Matthew and tell us about the Magi. You see, so it's just going back and forth. But when it does, you've got the verses in the corner, so you know what section you're reading from. But the idea, of course, is that you don't really pay attention to these things. You just read it. It's a nice smooth narrative with the bits from John coming in. So that Jesus is born. It's the end of the bit from Luke that says the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. He was seen in we have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. John's verses are the only ones that go out of sort of chronological order or whatever, from because you'll notice perhaps that it was John 1:5, John 6:1, 6 and 7, and now it's John 14. They ever so slightly change order, but that's going to be how, when we integrate some of the things, the verses are potentially going to go out of order. One day we hope to do the Gospels all together, but as you'll know if you've studied them, the Gospel writers don't present the events that are the same always in the same order. That doesn't mean that they are wrong, it just means that they're slightly presenting things in a different priority. So that's how these things work together. And then So you see the shepherds and everything. So this gives you an idea of how the books are going to integrate, and how you get a sort of smooth story telling you the whole Christmas narrative from the three Gospels, but without any breaks, start to finish. Thanks for watching.